Jamaicans, yeah, damn Brad, big up on yourself. Now, Jamaican people, it's December. So have a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year when it comes in. Now, Jamaican people, I want to touch upon a topic today, and it's called dancehall, right? And I want to look in terms of crime and violence in Jamaica to see if dancehall is actually contributing to that, and if there's a correlation between the violent lyrics and the violence in Jamaica, right? I'm going to touch upon a few other topics, including not limited to maybe religion and politics. So this might be a lengthy video. So just a disclaimer: if you have something to do and you don't have time to watch, that's fine. Watching this is optional. However, I must talk about a few things that's bothering me. It's been bothering me for quite a while, so I'm going to spend a little time on this, right, Jamaican people? No. First and foremost, we keep hearing about the influence of dancehall music. And whenever we see crime and violence in Jamaica, you don't have to look far in the comment section to see dancehall bearing the brunt of the blame as to what's causing this in Jamaica. So I want to pick apart some of the arguments and really take an in-depth look at it, right? First and foremost, I must say, everything in this world is influential. Everything under the sun, including the sun. Jamaican people, when I said the sun, I'm not making reference to the vitamin D levels, right? That is important, but there are things we can control and things that we can't. The sun and the rain are elements that we can't control. But let's take a look at the sun. On a sunny day, you're more inclined to go to the beach. On a rainy day, you're more inclined to do indoor activities, right? Because people would rather go out or go to the beach when it's hot and you need to go cool off in the water, right? So Jamaican people, everything else under the sun is also influential. Let me name a few influences before I go on. We all know about drugs and alcohol, which are both of those things are legal, and politics, religion, money, love, race, racism. All of these things are influential, Jamaican people. So we simply can't just pick an influence as to what is bothering us, so we had to go out and commit crimes, right? Let me use this again. Let's say you're on the beach and see a lady scantily clad in her bikini, and many men are on the beach, right? And for some reason, one deranged individual decided that no, she's just too sexy. Her curves are too influential for him, so he had to go hold her down and rape her. Simply because she was half naked. That would be an influence. But we wouldn't accept. I mean, some people rationalize why people rape because they want to blame the victim to say she didn't have enough clothing on and all of that. But most of the world would not accept that as a valid reason to rape someone, right? But that is the metric that we want to use with dancehall to say just because someone listened to the violent lyrics, they went out and started a life of crime. 3 million Jamaicans, but not all 3 million Jamaicans go out and commit certain acts. We have 14 parishes, but only 3 or 4 are very violent in terms of the murder rate, and the rest of Jamaica is relatively peaceful. What music do you attribute? We all listen to the same dancehall, right? We're not exempt in Portland and St. Elizabeth and St. Mary. Coincidentally, St. Mary, the poorest parish in Jamaica, is not the most violent. So I don't want you to come with the poverty argument either. Haiti, poorest country in the Western Hemisphere, right? Not the most violent. So I want to get that argument out of the way real quick. So let me look at what is also influential in our lives, right? Our parents. In no way, shape, or form should we negate the parental responsibility simply because we have social media or influence in the world, right? Look at there's a thing in Jamaica called, I forget the word they call it, but in your family is like there's a trend in your family that if the father is a doctor and the mother is a doctor, chances are the children will become doctors, right? Let's use music, since I'm touching up on the topic of music. Let's use Bob Marley, right? Even though Bob Marley has passed for quite a while, when he passed, his children were relatively young. However, even with Bob Marley missing from his children's life by the fact that he's deceased, most of his children chose a profession. Can you guess what profession most of his children chose for a living? What career path did they take? Maybe they all became doctors. How about carpenters? How about, hold on, since Bob Marley was missing from his children's life, how many of them became notorious gunmen? I can't put a number on that. But I would like for you to tell me. You knew what Bob Marley children, most of them chose to do? Most of them are musicians. Most of them are reggae artists. You know why? Their father was a reggae artist. So I'm saying that to say this. Running a family, that was the word I wanted to remember. Running a family. Poverty running a family. Badness running a family. If you're a policeman, your son can be police. Chances are, it's not 100%, but chances are, as a child growing up, you will more become what your parents are. Right? So that is the greatest influence you can have in the world, is your parents. And how can we now pass up the parental responsibilities of your children, and you made a conscious decision to have children, and you want to pass that up because you say Vybz Kartel have influence? You control what your children eat. You control what they wear. You control almost every aspect of their lives. But somehow you're saying you don't control what they listen to and what they aspire to be. That is ridiculous, Jamaican people. We can't simply put blame on things because God is so great. He made us with a mind and a brain and the ability to make choices in life. Don't matter how much guns are at your feet, you don't have to pick them up and kill someone. So I want the idea that music is causing the problem. It's ridiculous. The quicker we're able to move away from these ideas, that the false narrative that it's music, the quicker we're able to come up with tough solutions to fix Jamaica, right? The music in itself is not the problem, because you don't see anyone in Jamaica just listening to a song, randomly picked up a gun and go shoot up a mall, go shoot up a school or a church like in the United States. You don't see that. It's more of a reprisal that, people have altercations with each other and man kill each other. We need to, what music do you attribute to a man, a husband who just kill his wife because supposedly she's cheating? Music not have nothing to do with that. You will hear another set of people come out now and they will bring up a thing called false equivalency, right? And the false equivalency is actually a thing they're doing, but they're using psychs, reverse psychology at its best, right? They will equate the fact that Vybz Kartel sing a song about Clarks and say, well, if he's able to sing about Clarks and Clarks sell off, if he's singing a violent song, people will go ahead and resort to violence. The false equivalency, however, is how do you equate someone spending their money to buy Clarks in comparison to someone picking up a gun, going into a place to rob someone and end up kill 3 people? Are those two things equal? No, they're not. Apples to oranges. Because what's the worst can happen if you buy a Clarks? You spend some money. But in comparison to that, now you kill someone and you become a fugitive. And there are only 2 solutions for you. Either you're going to die by the bullet from the police or you're going to go to prison. Those 2 things cannot be equal. And the counter argument to that is, well, these 87s, they are not logical. Your argument, however, says they're logical enough to listen to Vybz Kartel and they go downtown not to buy slippers. They went to buy Clarks because the song was about Clarks. That is your argument. So you're saying if they're logical enough to buy Clarks, why are they not logical enough to follow his instructions, since you're blaming not just Vybz Kartel but music in general as an influence? So let me repeat that. You're saying they're logical enough to go buy Clarks. They didn't buy any other brand. But they're not logical when they're doing these things because they choose to listen to the music and take out of context or whatever else they choose to go and rob and kill people. They are logical enough to go into a bank to rob the bank. Why? Because the bank has money. They didn't run up into a clinic. They didn't run up into a clinic to rob it. So clearly they are logical enough in terms of when they're thinking about to commit crimes. So we can't use this false equivalency because it's not the same thing. Well, what would you say about the Prime Minister, who's an avid wearer of Clarks? So by that metric that people are using, I would be easily I would be able to solve crime in Jamaica. Because if a man listen to a song and go buy clocks, clearly the same man will listen to another song and go do violence. So as the police, I would be happy about that because I would know exactly who are the criminals. I would simply have to go out and look at every man who's wearing a clocks. So I guess Andrew Holness would have to fit to say he would be categorized with the same 87s who are wearing clocks. So you see, a lot of people make all kind of argument as to what is causing the problem in Jamaica. There are unlimited amount of things that's causing the problem, but it comes down to humans, it comes down to us. We have to make conscious decisions about what we do. First thing, we need to fix the court because someone can't kill your family and out the next 2 days walking past you and threatening your life. You're only human. You will have to defend your life or you will have to resort to violence at some point to save your own self. So you have to be more speedy in the courts as it relates to people getting charged and put before the courts. If they are found guilty or if they're innocent, not innocent, but if they are acquitted, fine, but at least give the process a chance to work. There are many other things that can be done in Jamaica, but this low-hanging fruit idea of music are the problem, foolishness. Any little dibby can just walk and grab the low-hanging fruit. It requires brain power, requires skill, it requires an effort to get up into the top of the tree to get the fruits that are at the top. So the idea that every time something happens in music, do it that Jamaican people, let me tell you something. Let me go way back. And for the people who are Christians, you can understand what I'm talking about. At the beginning, Adam and Eve, there was no Dexter Daps song in the background telling them to defy God. No Popcorn song, no Vybz Kartel song never did I tell Cain say, murder your brother Abel. How about, it's so easy. How about slavery? What was on the playlist of those white supremacists who went into Africa and kidnapped our people, raped our great-grandparents, and on the way back they would toss them into the Atlantic in shark-infested waters and for them to drown, right? Simply because they got sick on the journey. What music can we attribute to such wickedness? So do we really need music to prove how evil humans have always been? The Bible is there. Also, when you look at World Wars 1 and 2. We have had many wars over the years, but most notably World Wars 1 and 2, right? 50 million people died in World War 1. 50 million people. And it went so well for humans that they had to repeat it in 1939. What happened next? World War 2. 100 million people died in World War 2. What were they listening to? What music motivated that? So Jamaican people, clearly I just showed you that you don't necessarily need music or anyone influencing people to do wickedness. For some reason, wickedness have always been here and it's going to always be here as long as we have humans. But what we Jamaicans can do is learn to love each other. Even when we disagree with someone's assessment, we should be able to respectfully disagree. And also, I'm doing a video right now. Most people have the same ability to pick up your cell phone, turn on your camera and articulate your position as to why you agree or disagree with a particular subject matter. You can do it. Instead of going and bash someone who's trying to make a difference, at least bringing up a conversation so we can talk to each other. Because violence come around when people stop talking. You should love to talk to a person who you disagree with because clearly there's a difference here. Once you stop talking, then everything else turn bad. So once you keep talking to people, you're able to work out your differences, and that is what I'm saying. As Jamaicans, that's one of the biggest factors as to why we are so violent, because we refuse to acknowledge that 8 billion humans on earth and we're individuals. We don't have to all agree to the same thing. Some man like oxtail, some man like fish. We don't argue over stuff like that. So people should be able to take up their phone and say whatever they want to say. And if you disagree, state why you disagree. It doesn't have to be disrespectful. So Jamaican people, I just wanted to touch upon that topic as it relates to what's happening with the music. We can't simply go around and ban the music because, as I said earlier, money is a great factor in our lives. What if somebody run into a bank, kill people? They were motivated by the cash that was in the bank. So should we now ban money? I'm pretty sure all the people on YouTube making all this money and making all this talk about the music, they wouldn't demonetize their channel because they want to make money. We can't blame money because a man run up in a bank. So why would you blame music because some idiot, some demented fool want to go out and rob and kill people? It can't be the music. We couldn't ban the beach. We couldn't simply just ban the beach because women are half naked there and a man might be motivated or influenced by seeing her scantily clad or half naked body, so him feel like it's okay to rape. So how do you go around and just ban stuff? In a free society, we can't do that. Because a man can make an argument that the music is distasteful and he want to ban it. So what about the news? The evening news that filled with violence, right? The evening news is so graphic, they say viewers' discretion is advised. Every evening, every Jamaican sit down and watch it 3 times a day. Even though you hear about how men are lighted from cars with guns and how much people was murdered across the island. People are glued to their television for this. That is why you have newspaper and you have TV station, because they know people love to hear about violence. But the only time, that is based in reality, and you're not outraged by the news because you see it as news, but you're outraged by a story. You're outraged by art. Someone put on a headphone like this and DJ pan an instrumental and say something about guns and killing, and all of a sudden it's the worst thing in the world you've ever heard. Not necessarily to say, maybe one you can look and say it's glorifying violence in a certain way, but the next one is also based in reality. That again is a false equivalency, to compare a dancehall song to an actual event in real life. So people need to understand what they're doing, and some people are disingenuous in their approach and the way they talk about dancehall. They have a preconceived notion about it. And so they're just speaking from that angle. They're not looking at it across the board to see if dancehall is really the problem or the cause in Jamaica. And I illustrated about all the wars we've ever had prior to dancehall even coming to Jamaica. And in 1980, when dancehall was in its infancy, how many Jamaicans lay dead within a few months because of politics and religion? Not religion, but politics. And even though you have Saturday church and Sunday church not even agree with each other, so we still have division. There are parts in the Bible that told people to go into a particular city and kill everything, including men, women, innocent children. It said to kill the ox and the donkey and everything that was there. You can check out the book of Samuel to find that passage. What if a man is motivated by that and said, you know what? ISIS was motivated by religion. They were going around killing everyone who was not Muslim. And Christians have been through their thing as well, in terms of the crusade, right? So what if someone is influenced by that passage in Samuel and go out and kill a bunch of people and said, well, the Bible said to do it? We wouldn't accept that. But that is the metric we want to use with dancehall. So I want people to just open their mind and think different from what you've heard prior before, man. I just want people just, listen, people, I just thought about this just now. I just came in here and said, you know what, let me do this out of my heart. I don't rehearse nothing or do anything. So it might not be perfect, but it better we just go and talk it out and make mistakes. We're human. We need to talk to each other and get to love each other, man. We have been through enough as black people. So once again, I want to have a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year, and take care of each other and learn to love each other. That is the most I can say in terms of us Jamaicans trying to come together. Please, me, I beg you now, we need to stop the foolishness.